Hi, everyone. I'm going to continue with covering content from Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment. This time, I'm just going to do a slight change in the content I cover. I'm just going to focus on a key particular passage in the text and analyze and interpret that instead of just covering multiple of these, just to keep the video shorter and more engaging, making it not like 20 plus minutes. So the passage here in question is Raskolnikov finds himself in a tavern drinking tea, and he overhears a conversation between a student and a young military officer. They're talking about the old pawnbroker that we met in the first part of this series, and her half sister, who's younger, Lizaveta. The student then engages in a discussion about the merit of killing the old pawnbroker, and I'm going to actually quote this directly here from the text because this deserves like a full quotation and reading. Honestly, it's one of Dostoevsky's like key, I would say, important passages. He does this throughout his novels, where the characters go in these long, interesting, worthwhile dialogues that need to be read and reread. So he says, um, "No, I'll tell you what. I could kill that damned old woman and make off with her money. I assure you, without the faintest conscience prick." The student added hotly. So again, this is the student talking to the young, like, army officer. They're in like a tea place. The officer again burst out laughing while Raskolnikov shuddered. How strange it was. So Raskolnikov's overhearing this conversation in the tea tavern, or in the tavern while he's drinking tea, listening to these two. So then continuing, he said, "Listen, I want to ask you a serious question," the student said heatedly. "I was joking, of course, but look here. On the one side, we have a stupid, senseless, worthless, spiteful, ailing old woman, not simply useless, but doing actual harm, who herself has no idea what she is living for, and who will die in a day or two in any case. You understand? You understand?" "Yes, yes," answered the officer, watching his excited companion attentively. "Well, listen then. On the other hand, fresh young lives thrown away in vain for lack of support, and by the thousands, on every side. 100, 1,000 good deeds and undertakings could be done." Just 1 second here. I'm gonna continue with the text. So continue here. "And helped on that old woman's money, which we buried in a monastery. Hundreds, thousands perhaps might be set on the right path, dozens of families saved from destitution, from corruption, from ruin, from vice, from venereal wards, and all with her money. Kill her, take her money, and with the help of it, devote yourself to the service of humanity and the common good. What do you think? Would not one crime be wiped out by thousands of good deeds? For one life, thousands would be saved from corruption and decay, one death and 100 lives in exchange. It's simple arithmetic. Besides, what value has the life of that sickly, stupid, ill natured old woman in the balance of existence? No more than the life of a louse, of a cockroach. Less, in fact, because the old woman is doing harm. She is wearing out the lives of others. The other day, she bit Lizaveta's finger out in spite. It almost had to be amputated. So here we see this key passage, and there's some very important elements in here that are worth considering and seeing. So the argument that the young student puts forth is kind of a utilitarian one, arguing for the sacrifice of the one for the benefit of the many. A good way to think about it is that it's kind of like the trolley problem. It's often used where the sacrifice of one to save many, or do you sacrifice many to save one? Um, in a sense, this is kind of the modern rendition of it. Um, yeah. And then his argument is powerful and in many ways convincing. He argues that so many people would be saved by this act of killing the old pawnbroker. Families would be saved, children would be saved, young people would all be saved, as he puts it. If one takes, yeah, he puts it, he young people would be saved, as he puts it, who need our money more. Particularly powerful is the line again where he says the line that said what starts with "What do you think?" And again, I think it makes sense to read this in full quotation here because it is a like a powerful line. He says, "What do you think? Would not one tiny crime be wiped out by thousands of good deeds? For one life, thousands would be saved from corruption and decay. One death and 100 lives in exchange. It's simple arithmetic. Out of the whole passage, for me, this is the most powerful quote and the most interesting. So then we have to consider, if one takes a material worldview, this seems like an optimal choice that would benefit many, and on the whole, reduce overall suffering in the world. In fact, he is right that this old woman is doing harm and bringing even more suffering into the world through her existence. Dostoevsky here brings the abstract contemplation and its implications into the everyday realm of reality. These are questions whose answers would have profound impacts on millions. And also interesting to note, in practice, governments in the realm of practice frequently do just this calculation, whether it's justifiable or not. Governments frequently use this utilitarian approach when considering these kind of moral dilemma choices, trolley problem style. Mm, this is a recurring problem that Dostoevsky kind of explores. His other novel, The Brothers Karamazov, Ivan, one of the most interesting characters in, I think, out of all of Dostoevsky's books. There's a scene in The Brothers where Ivan is speaking with his brother Ilyusha, probably mispronounced that, and he voices his opinion on the worth of the individual. He says that even to sacrifice one child for the whole salvation of mankind is not a trade worth making. Another critique of the student's position is, who decides who should live and die? What makes them so special to have that power and authority to make the decision? Also, in this, I think, is a hidden critique by Dostoevsky of modernity in general and of science, and even the whole overall Enlightenment notion of progress and improvement. If the numbers make sense, why should we be concerned with some ephemeral notions as individuals and their rights and feelings? It all feels very cold and calculating, and many of us feel that logically the argument the student makes is sound. However, something in this conclusion nevertheless feels very wrong to us. Dostoevsky seems to be saying that in our progress, we seem to have lost some of our humanity. Of course, I don't have answers to such deep and difficult questions, but I merely wanted to bring this passage up from the novel to encourage awareness and dialogue of this interesting dilemma. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know if you want any additional interpretations and put in your interpretations and insights and what I discussed here in the comment section below. Thank you.